Good afternoon, Dario. I would like to thank you for first joining me here to have this chat. How have you been? How are things going with you?
Honestly, well, first of all, let me just say thanks, Jess, for having me for your show. Just taking it one day at a time. Honestly, at this point, there's nothing more that you can do. A very fluid situation in the world right now, so that's the situation.
How is it? How are you finding it over in New York? I know that is one of the worst hit states in the United States. How what's the feeling like over in New York?
I think you get a little bit of everything. There's some people who are definitely taking it seriously, always in their masks and what's not, and then there are other people who give you the vibe that they just don't care. Honestly, not taking the necessary precautions, but that's from one side of it. From another side of it, definitely missing your family. Going through a world pandemic on your own is not easy at all, especially when you're in a job that usually has you traveling all over. So it has taken some adjusting, but my mentality is usually is what it is. You roll with the punches and you just do what you got to do. But it's been tough, and people, as I said, some people are taking it seriously, and some people are not.
Yeah, I saw you posted a picture a couple of weeks ago. You were actually on the train and the car that you were in, it was completely empty. You were the only person on that car. Being in New York, one of the most busiest cities in the world, that must have felt very strange.
And you know what? That was actually the first time that I ventured into the public since the whole pandemic. When I got on the train, and it was surreal, as you just said. If anyone who has had the opportunity to visit New York City and ride the subway, they would know that subway, depending on the time of day, could be jam packed. If you're putting it in Bayesian terms, it could be seriously jam packed. So to be on a train in New York City and you be the only person in a particular cart, it was serious. And I think that kind of like brought into context like what was really going on in the world, and the fact that people are not going out as much and not really using public transportation as much.
Yeah. Uh, okay, Dario, you national brand ambassador. Anyone who knows Dario knows that he's a very outspoken person. He's not someone that is afraid of the spotlight. Uh, I saw a picture a few couple days ago. I don't, you couldn't have been 5 years old yet, and in that picture, you actually had a microphone in your hand. So it seems that it was something that you always had a knack for. Can you tell me where did this passion come from?
um well, first of all, the picture that you're referring to, I probably was like three, probably like 3 or 4, and that was Richard Stolt Teen Talent. Every Sunday, I would go to Richard Stolt Teen Talent with my mother, and I saw that newspaper clipping in my grandmother's house. She had it framed and everything, and apparently I was singing "Goosey Goosey Gander." But to answer the question of where the passion came from, I think it's just something that developed over time. I always have to make reference to the fact that my grandmother was big on church, and every Sunday I had to go to church, and to the point that when I was old enough to do so, I had to be doing the Bible lessons and what's not. And every Saturday night, I would be at the edge of the bed with my grandmother, just reading over the Bible lesson again and again and again to make sure that when it's time to get up on the in pulpit, the podium, to read the Bible lesson, that I would do a good job. So thinking back, I would definitely have to say that from that point is where I guess public speaking really started, for me. And as time went on, everything else pretty much just fell into place. I had to do a speech at my primary school graduation, and then from there on out, it was always a case that my path would always be steered towards being in the spotlight and always being the one to be giving a speech or making an address or whatever the case may be.
Um, I know you went on to be enrolled in the Toastmasters at a very young age. Um, what role did that play, if any, in developing your public speaking skills?
Um, I think is definitely something that I would always encourage anyone to do, honestly. I mean, if you're into public speaking or not, it is definitely a great way to gain some confidence, I would say. And that was when I was at the Alexandra School. I was the Students' Council president at that point in time, and that is how the opportunity presented itself. So I would have to say that that experience in particular made me even more comfortable when it came to speaking on my feet, because one of these sessions is based on impromptu speaking, where they would pretty much just place any item in your hand. They would say, okay, come up, and they would give you a pen, and you would then have to speak about this pen for like 2 minutes, like whatever came to mind. So I would say that that was definitely one of the things that I definitely relished and took away from Toastmasters specifically, because in my job today, you got to be able to think on your feet and being able to answer questions and knowing how to, pretty much just, steer the boat and maneuver the river in a sense. So impromptu speaking was definitely one of the sessions that I enjoyed while being a part of the Toastmasters program.
And just to talk back quick here, when they call you up and ask you to speak on any random thing, roughly how many people are you speaking in front of?
It was a small class. It was every Saturday, probably from like 2 to 4 or something like that. But the class didn't have any more than 20 people. Okay. And I think that, so I guess it was still like a relatively small number and a group of people that you grew a relationship as each week went on. But still, I mean, getting up and speaking in front of a crowd is something that you find adults still have experienced to this very day. You could be 50, 60 years old and you still find it very uncomfortable to speak in front of a crowd. So it could be 20 people, it could be 50, it could be 500. It's something that would always, be a huge fear for many people.
Yeah, true. In 2011, Darrio, you entered Mount Gay as a tour guide. It wasn't the average job. It wasn't the average 9 to 5. You are now coming in contact with tourists on a daily. You are going on tours all over the island, stuff like that. What was that experience like for you? Like I said, you're not doing the usual desk job like most of your friends probably were. What was that experience like for you, Darrio?
I would definitely have to say that from the beginning of my journey at Mount Gay, it kind of like steered me in a direction as it related to a career that I could possibly enjoy. Yeah. Doing tours is always great. You got an opportunity to learn about a brand that has been around forever. And then you also got an opportunity to interact with people from different parts of the world. So people coming from Europe, coming from the US, coming from other parts of the Caribbean. You get to meet a lot of people who have some pretty interesting stories as well. Yeah. I honestly, if you ask me if this is where it would have led me, I definitely could not have seen it, because at that point in time, it was literally just a job for me. I was at home. I wasn't doing anything. I had finished my associate degree in mass communication, and for some reason, I wasn't feeling the need to go into, like reading news or reporting or anything like that. So I just happened to end up at Mount Gay being a tour guide. And as I said earlier, as it relates to like being steered in a path that kind of suits you, that's exactly what happened. Being a part of Toastmasters, being the student council president, having to always give presentations, it was like, okay, well, this is just simply another presentation that I will be giving to people who would be visiting. So I would definitely say that it steered me in a direction to kind of know what it is that I wanted to do. Because from doing tours, I realized like, well, this is a company that I could definitely grow with, and it pushed me to go back to school and do my degree in marketing. Okay. And it was a case that it allowed me the time to go and do my degree, but still be working full time. And I guess it really paid off in the end.
Yeah. Still at Mount Gay in 2015. Yeah, you were then promoted to brand ambassador, and now you're traveling the world. You're dining at some of the finest restaurants on the island. A totally different experience. What was that like? What was that transitioning like from a tour guide to now brand ambassador at Mount Gay?
Well, first, I mean, I can still remember this conversation like if it was yesterday. Her name was Fanny Young, and she was the global marketing director for Mount Gay at the time. And I can remember her calling me outside and sitting me down under the trees and asking me um, if I would be the brand ambassador for Mount Gay. Now, majority of the time when you meet brand ambassadors, they usually have a background in mixology or in bartending. And I was like,
Okay.
I put it straight up. I'm like, yo, I'm not a bartender, you know. Yeah, that would be a great opportunity, but I am not a bartender. She said, don't worry about it. You can learn, you know. And she said, so would you be the brand ambassador? So I asked her, are you breathing? You know, and I guess from there it was like another journey. But even at that point in time, I would always see the brand ambassador, whose name is Chester Brown, and I would see him doing his thing, and I told myself like, yo, I could definitely see myself, being a brand ambassador, telling people about the brand and telling people about Barbados, and just speaking well towards the brand. And I honestly never thought that the opportunity would have presented itself. I mean, you're still relatively young, you're still relatively new with the company. Yes, there are other people who would be vying for this position as well if it did ever become available. And I don't want to say it dropped in your lap, but you were then considered for this position. So it was pretty surreal, honestly. As you mentioned, getting a chance to eat at some of the top restaurants on the island of Cliff in particular, I
Yeah.
feel like many times I had driven past the Cliff before, and like, yo, like one day I can definitely definitely go to dinner at the Cliff.
Yeah.
And then it came a point where like every other week you were at the Cliff dining and you just walking in and you knowing the waiters there, you knowing the hostesses and all of that type of stuff. And it was like it was pretty awesome. But it also gave you an opportunity to understand why people love Barbados, why people love the hospitality and the interactions that they have. So it was a case that while still being a local, you got a chance to experience the life of a tourist in a sense because of some of the places that we would always hear conversations about. But no, you were going there, you were sitting down and you were dining at these places regularly. So I would definitely say that becoming the brand ambassador for Mount Gay, it gave me the opportunity to one, appreciate Barbadian history a lot more, and also to experience some aspects of island life or the culture that I probably never thought I would have been able to.
Um, well, there in that post, you were approached about becoming a national brand ambassador, about now living in the United States of America, more so New York, where most people dream of living. Most people is a dream come true for most people. What were your thoughts when you were first approached about this position, and did you ever think that you would live to see that dream that come true?
Well, it's funny that you should bring that up because while working at Mount Gay, I guess I started to develop like a way of thinking. It's like knowing that you want something, but you also have to speak it into being. It's not just saying that you want something, you just have to believe that you want it. And as I said, from working there and interacting with all of these people coming from different parts of the world, I always told myself that I would love to spend at least 6 months outside of Barbados just to experience a different culture and become a bit more cultured
Yeah.
on a whole. It would give you an opportunity to see the shortcomings, I guess you could say, in what you have at home,
Yeah.
but also an opportunity to appreciate what you have at home
Yeah.
as well. I would always say that. I would always put that in the air. Like, yeah, man, I would love to spend at least 6 months outside of Barbados. And then one day, another boss, at this point in time, he was walking coming out of the visitor center, and he just stopped randomly, and he just asked me, would you be the brand ambassador for Mount Gay in New York? I was like, yes. Right. He's like, okay, cool. Well, do up your CV and get it to me tomorrow. Now, even at this point in time, I just saw it as a formality, So I went home. Keep in mind, I've been working at Mount Gay since 2011. I comfortable. I ain't touch up my CV in forever, So now I go home. Now I trying to like pull it together, make sure everything blessed, everything look a certain sort of way, and I send it off. Cool. He tells me he receives it. Bam, 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 bam. At this point in time, they had already shortlisted I think 3 people for the position, all based in New York.
3 people were already shortlisted in New York for this position.
For the position.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, why are they gonna waste time and effort to bring me from Barbados to fill this position when they already got like possible candidates shortlisted for the job? They're like,
Yeah.
all right, whatever. So like, hold tight. We checking out some things. So a couple of weeks pass. I get an email telling me that I have a Skype interview. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, well, things seem to be going in a certain direction. So I had a colleague who was already working in the New York office who was kind of like coaching me on like kind of the things that they were looking for the position, because it wasn't the case that I would only be now representing Mount Gay. I would have to pick up a couple of other brands as well. Okay. So she was coaching me. Interview came, went really well. Met my boss, met someone from HR, went really, really well. Okay, cool. Radio silence for a bit. Then I had to go to Newport, Rhode Island, and this is still in my position as brand ambassador for Mount Gay. And I got word that my future boss, if I would be chosen for the position, would be there. The CFO would be there. The head of HR would be there. The head of marketing would be there. Basically, all of the big boys in the company were going to be at this event in Rhode Island. So it was basically telling me, it's like, yo, you gotta bring it. You usually bring it, but you gotta bring it now. So no pressure whatsoever. I was sweating bricks. Here I tell you, I was sweating some serious bricks. So the event came. It was a dinner of a room. I don't want like this dinner probably had about 150 people, and I was the sole presenter to these 150 people, including these big boys that I just mentioned to you. And I brought it. So following that, I had to fly to New York for an in-person interview. So now I had to make a cocktail for some of the people that I would now be working with. But the trick is, I now had to choose one of the brands that I would not usually work on. So keep in mind, working with Mount Gay from 2011, I know Mount Gay like front to back, but now to pick up a new brand after all this time, like that was a real challenge. And one of the ladies that was in the room, she always tells me about it because I had these huge rings of sweat under my arms while I was doing this presentation. But that was a representation of the amount of nerves coming out of my body, right? Yeah. So again, did the presentation, left for Barbados the following morning, came home, took a nap, and I woke up to a missed call. Called back, it was HR, and her name is Daisha. Daisha said to me, she said, hey, what's up, man? I'm like, yo, it's not too long, got back in, pretty much just woke up from a nap. She's like, okay, cool. Well, I hope you're excited about moving to New York. And I was like, I ain't gonna lie. I froze because I was like, this is happening. This is for real. So from the point of applying for the job, when my boss came on, asked me if I would work in New York, up until the point of hearing that I actually got the position. Keep in mind that they forgot about the people that were shortlisted for the job and went with me. I was like, this is huge. Yeah. And as you said, like New York is a place that people would love to go or love to live. There are people who live in the US who have never been to New York City. Yeah. And I was just given this opportunity to go. So I think that in itself was definitely a huge achievement. And Jay, say, if you had asked me in 2011 that in 2018 I would be given the opportunity to move to New York, I would have never seen it coming. Yeah. Would have never seen it coming.
Yeah, can imagine that must have been a surreal feeling.
Man, not only for me, but I think a part of feeling proud is also seeing the reactions from the people around you. And there is also understanding like how many people are really in your corner without you even knowing it. Yeah. Like the amount of congratulations that you got from people that you didn't even like interact with on that sort of level just shows they were truly proud of the achievement. Mother, obviously, she was hugging me, she was crying. Yeah. For the most part, most people were like super, super elated to hear that I definitely got that opportunity.
Yeah, I guess it must have been a somewhat bittersweet feeling. Like you are moving to New York City, but you're leaving all your friends and family behind. I know, like you just said, your mom, who's a huge part of your life. I know Vilma. She was, as you said, she probably was happy for you, but I know she definitely in the first instance, she's probably telling herself she's gonna miss you dearly. So it must have been a bittersweet feeling for you.
Oh, I mean, definitely bittersweet is the perfect explanation for it.
Yeah.
Because you kind of like find yourself between a rock and a hard place. Yes, this is a great opportunity, but at the same time, I'm leaving all of my friends and my family behind as well. But I think just as the saying goes, like you don't miss the water till the well run dry. So maybe it was a case. Maybe I need to move away from my friends and family to appreciate them, even more. But I think that was also something that drove me as well and continues to drive me, because I know what sacrifices I made in order to be here.
Yeah.
And it's like these sacrifices can't be for anything. I should be able to look back and say, yes, I sacrificed this or whatever the case may be, but at the same time, it was not for nothing. I did go, I took the opportunity, and it was definitely worthwhile. But bittersweet, that's a part of life, man. You got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, correct. Okay, so you're in New York now. How was the transitioning? You're coming from a very small Caribbean island in Barbados, and I mean you're now moving to one of the busiest cities in the world. Very fast pace. How was the transitioning for you?
It was rough. I'm not gonna even lie. It was rough, and I think that was a true test of temperament and sanity as well. Yeah. For one, being the national brand ambassador, it's not a case that you are stationary in one state. So I currently cover New York, Boston, Dallas, Austin, Miami. So it requires you to do like a lot of traveling. So probably like every other week, I would have been on a plane. So moving into the job, still trying to find an apartment, and still having to do your job, it became a lot harder, because you only had like weekends now to like look for apartments and spaces, and then you got to be on a plane somewhere else. And so I think the settling in aspect took a lot longer. And I think I also I wasn't given like all of the information I should have been given as it related to what goes into finding an apartment in New York City. But as I always say, I don't regret anything that I went through at all, because I try to find the silver lining in every single experience. This is a new chapter in your life, is a new opportunity to show a different level of maturity, understanding, resolve, and rolling with the punches. And that's pretty much what it is. But if there was anyone that was moving to the US at this point in time or in the future, I would definitely be able to lend my expertise to them, telling them what experiences I had, and hopefully making the journey a lot easier for them. But the transition was not easy at all. Much faster pace as well. So I guess that's a good thing. Coming from island life, we pretty much go with the flow. You got to meet at 9. That's probably like 9:30, quarter to 10. Oh, sorry, but here now, if you got a meeting at 9, probably like 8:55, you clocking in or whatever the case may be, to make sure that you're ready for the start. So I guess that was one of the biggest things as it related to the transition, or two of them, I should say. Finding an apartment, not easy at all, because credit scores and that sort of thing are huge here. Getting your social security, that kind of stuff, and adjusting to the faster pace of life.
Yeah, I can imagine. Can you tell us a little bit about what a day-to-day looks like for Darrio?
You mean like in COVID world or like regular world?
In regular world. Yeah, regular.
So as a national brand ambassador, my major job is to interact with the entire system, in a sense. So there's like 3 tiers. You have trade, you have consumer, and you have the distributor, right? So trade obviously being like bartenders, people who work in the industry, right? So you have to interact with them. Distributor, the people responsible for selling the product into the different bars and the different liquor stores. And then obviously the consumer. So my job is to do activations that keep them engaged while raising brand awareness
Okay.
as well. So this will be in the form of hosting like dinners, cocktail hours, and different types of activations, all geared towards brand awareness in hopes of them going away feeling as though that they've made a connection with this brand and they want to go into a store and purchase a bottle, or they go into a bar and they are requesting the product by brand. So that's basically what it is. It's basically marketing in a sense. So that's what I will be doing across those cities that I mentioned to you. So in each of those markets, they would have different teams. I would link with the teams to let them know I'm coming to market, saying like, hey, I would love to do a dinner on this particular brand. I would love to do a cocktail session on this particular brand. I would like to do a couple of brand trainings on this particular brand. Let me know when we can hop on a call and organize it so that, you know, you're pretty much good to go. So that's it in like a real nutshell, like a nutshell like this big.
Okay.
Yeah, like that big.
Okay. I mean, Dario, looking at you, if you follow your path, you know, if you follow you on social media, I mean, from, you know, traveling the world, you know, staying at hotels on South Beach, you know, well, you know, having a drink, you know, doing all of this, this is part of your job. I mean, it looks lovely. People would envy you. People would really want that life.
Oh,
But
for
I'm
sure.
pretty sure that there's some times, you know, where the going gets tough. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit of that side with us, please?
Well, for sure. So obviously we already know how social media works.
Yeah.
You know, nobody don't have a posting struggles to
Correct.
social media. Nobody ain't gonna post missed flights on social media,
Yeah.
right? So I think that it can be it's a very tiresome job. It's very tiresome because it's constantly go 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 go. So yes, you get the opportunity to travel the world. I mean, I was afforded the opportunity to go to France. I was afforded the opportunity to go to Scotland. I was afforded the opportunity to go to Greece as well. But that was all through work. But on the flip side of it, a lot of what I do in my day to day, the major part of it is planning. You got to be able to plan. So anytime you see me like post an event or post a photo from an event, you're basically seeing the end product. So you will not see all of the headaches of finding a particular venue or finding a venue that fits into your budget and making your budget stretch to do everything that it is that you would want to do for that particular event. So the planning aspect is definitely one of the less glamorous sides of it, but obviously seeing the finished product, you know, kind of gives you like a bit of gratification to seeing what it's become. And as I said, there's some instances that I could find myself being on the road for an entire week. So I could be leaving my apartment on a Friday evening to catch a flight, and I would not be seeing my apartment till the following Sunday. So that's another side of it as well. So it's definitely a case that you're constantly on the go every single time, because you're not just covering one market, you're covering multiple markets. And then obviously you still have like, you know, you still have stipulations as it relates to how many times you're supposed to be in a market in a particular month or in a particular time frame or whatever the case may be. So it's a very tiring job. But I think that with that being said, you got to make it work for you as well, you know. So you still gotta find downtime. You still gotta find time for you to just come off the high and just relax. So people will see me living in New York City, and I mean, there's loads of things to do in New York City. So when I finally would come back from like a long week of traveling or whatever the case is, a part of me would want to explore. Like, oh, let me see what's going on. Let me see what I could check out in New York City. But then there's another part of me that literally just wants to sit on my couch and just do nothing at all and just chill out and just be. So I would definitely say that it's demanding in the sense that it requires like a lot of time and a lot of energy, but you also get like a loads of experience from it as well.
I'm pretty sure, like I said earlier, there are a lot of people who are looking at that at your social media and just admiring what you do. You know, what advice would you give any young person coming up who aspires to one day be a national brand ambassador such as yourself?
Advice towards being a national brand ambassador. I don't think I would limit the advice to being a national brand ambassador. I think I would give the advice as it relates to achieving anything that you want. I think number one is knowing what it is that you want. You know, having an idea of what it is that you really and truly want to do, believing that you could actually get it done, and as I said earlier, speaking it into being. You know, and as your life goes on, it's basically making decisions that you know will guide you towards what it is that you ultimately want to do.
To achieve.
I believe that faith is super important because nothing in life comes easy. There are times that you will feel defeated, you will feel deflated, you will feel like, man, I really am about down no more. But at that point in time is really and truly when you need to keep pushing and keep going because you know what it is that you want to achieve. So once you know what it is that you want from your life and you set that goal, everything that you do in your everyday life should be towards achieving that final goal or reaching the pinnacle, I should say. So that's my advice to you. Know what your goal is and just wholeheartedly go for it with both hands. I was gonna make a reference to Mike Tyson and punching, but I didn't really sure what I was going. But that's basically just know what it is that you want and just go for it, man. That's the honest to God truth. Have belief in yourself, have faith, and having a fantastic support system around you as well definitely helps because as I said, there will be times that you will feel defeated, and that's when your support system comes in to like lift you up and make sure that you keep gunning, man, every single time.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice there. I just want to ask this. I always wondered, being around alcohol so often and, consuming alcohol every day, was there ever a particular time where, you have gotten a little intoxicated on the job? Because I remember I did a tour a couple of years ago, and the amount of alcohol, I mean, it wasn't it wasn't that much, but you did try one or two various types of Montgay.
Yeah.
So for someone like you, was there ever a time where you got a little intoxicated on the job?
Oh, definitely. I know a story very vividly of when I was still in Barbados, and I don't know. I went to a rum shop in Deacons with a couple of the older guys from Mount Gay. And when I say older guys, that's super important to note because these is men that was working at Mount Gay for a while, and these is men that could drink.
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, I just felt as though that I could keep up with these men and tell these men, man, I got you covered. I could keep up. I could keep up with you. I think I woke up the next day in my bed. I think someone had taken me home in my in my in my own car. But that's definitely one story that I always remembered. You didn't hear much about it. Why? Because that was a Friday right before I went on vacation for 2 weeks. So it
Oh,
was very strategic. You understand? So that was more than enough time for that talk
you're
to
off.
like hear. Nah, not entirely. Yeah, you would get like a bit sweet, as we would say, but it was never like a situation where it was like pretty much like gone, gone, gone. I will say that I would find myself like reaching that point a lot sooner because I started to drink a lot more gin,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
gin is actually a higher percentage of alcohol than rum. And initially I was like, yo, why is it a case that I'm feeling like this like so soon? I only had like 2 cocktails. But then you realize like, oh, you consume a more percentage of alcohol by volume versus rum. So that was the case. So once you pretty much get over that, it was kind of like smooth sailing. But that story about trying to drink with the older boys and challenging them that I could keep up with them, yeah, not one of my bird moments. That's probably one of my, yeah, that was one of my dumber moments for sure, definitely.
Uh, Dario, first off, I must say I'm not a drinker, but today I decided to you know step outside of my comfort zone and have a drink. I see that you're very well versed in creating cocktails. So I asked that you just talk us through what we need to know about when making cocktails. So over to you now, Dario.
Well, I thank you so much for having a drink with me, Jess. Knowing that you don't drink.
Yeah.
I can definitely tell, you know, you're very resourceful young man. You found what you need to find around the home to get it done. But we can make a very simple cocktail. And the cocktail that I'm using is one that I like to use simply because I know that these are ingredients that everyone usually has in their home. You're going to be making a daiquiri, like a classic daiquiri. And it's just three ingredients. You just need to have yourself your rum. Obviously, I'm going to be using my Mount Gay rum, Mount Gay Black Barrel rum. You're going to need to have some simple syrup. And you need to have some freshly squeezed lime juice or lemon juice. You just need a citrus. And I always tell people you don't need to know how to make a million and one different types of cocktails. Just usually knowing how to make one good cocktail and you're pretty much good to go. That's just your go-to cocktail every single time. As I said years ago, she asked me, I told her straight, I didn't know anything about making cocktails. Well, years on, I guess I could handle myself a bit. I wouldn't profess to be a bartender or anything like that, but I guess I got an idea as to what you need to do. All right, so let me get started. We're making this cocktail. This is considered to be like a sour. You know, you ever heard of a rum sour and a daiquiri?
Yeah.
Pretty much the same ingredients. Only thing with a sour, you'll probably be using a bit more lime juice versus the simple syrup. With making a daiquiri, most of the time it's equal parts simple syrup to your lime juice. With a sour, you would probably up the citrus just a bit. Simple syrup, super easy to make. Everybody got water, so you can boil some water. Everybody got sugar, equal parts sugar and water. You put it in a little container, just give it a nice vigorous shake. Just like that, you got yourself some simple syrup. And you can get real creative with it as well. You know, if you're boiling the water on the stove, you can add the sugar to a pot on the stove, add some mint. Just like that, you got yourself a mint syrup. If you feel like adding some basil, you got yourself a basil syrup. So just like anything else in life, it takes practice, and once you know what you're supposed to do, you're pretty much going clear, man. So
the question is clear that you would have used granulated sugar. But
yeah, yeah, you could definitely use brown sugar as well, but I have white sugar, so that's what granulated sugar. Sorry, that's why so that's why I used to make my simple syrup. But you could use brown sugar as well. Obviously, if you use brown sugar, it would be a lot darker. Yeah. So you ready to make this cocktail?
Let's go.
All right, cool. And I can show you how easy this is. So what we can be doing, you can need 2 ounces of no, I'm not gonna do 2 ounces. I can do 1.5 ounces of Mount Gay rum.
Okay. Well.
And I can pour that into my mixing glass. Looking nice, man. I love that. That was a pretty good technique that you just did there with pouring your rum. Now I'm going to be adding my simple syrup. I'm going to be using 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup. And then I'm going to be adding 3/4 of an ounce of some freshly squeezed lime juice. If you don't have lime juice, you can use lemon. It shouldn't alter the taste of the drink too much. And that's pretty much it right there, you know? So you just need your rum, you just need your simple syrup, you just need your lime juice and some ice. So now I'm gonna add some ice.
Just add the ice now.
Yeah, add the ice. Add a couple blocks of ice, probably like 5-6 blocks of ice is fine. So I'm serving this inside of a coupe. So what you would do usually when you're serving a drink straight up, which is without ice, you would just add a couple cubes of ice to the glass, or have the glass in the fridge beforehand.
Okay.
Just allow the glass to chill, so that when you're serving the drink, it's served inside of a chill glass. So I don't have a chill glass, so I can just take like a couple of ice cubes and just like, you know, let's give it a swirl. If you got some ice left, you could do it with your glass as well. You don't have to, but it's fine. All right. So now my favorite part is definitely the shaking of the cocktail. So, oh, wow, really, really nice.
Yeah.
So now it's time to shake. So now you gotta shake, but you gotta give me a nice smell. You know, nobody don't want to go in a bar, see a bartender shaking with a serious face. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta get serious. So on the count of 3, just smell for me, man. I mean, good. 1, 2, 3. And that should be more than enough there, man. So you should feel that container starting to get kind of chilly in your hand, right?
Definitely.
Right. So that's like a great indication to know, like, all right, your cocktail is ready. You don't want to see, usually with a shaker, it starts to get frosty on the outside. That's how you pretty much know that your drink is ready. And then I just pour it into my glass. And only thing missing would be a garnish. So you see, you already one up on me because you got a garnish and I don't. So look at that. So garnish for me. Let me see.
Yeah, just put it over here.
Oh, beautiful, Jess. I love it. And that is a daiquiri right there, my guy.
The daiquiri right here.
But cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Have a taste of it. Let me know.
It's good.
And always super easy to make. Yeah, as I said, you don't even have to have a shaker. Just find something with a lid that you can just give it a nice vigorous shake.
Yeah.
And you pretty much good to go. So just like that, Jace, you're not a drinker, but if you ever have anyone who's coming over and they care for a cocktail, you could always make them a daiquiri. Always make sure you got some good rum. Mount Gay Black Barrel is always a really nice way to go. Have some simple syrup, some lime juice, and you go on clear. Nice and easy. And you bless. Easy so. Boom. Every single time.
Darrio, it has been a very, very intriguing session. I thank you for teaching me how to make a daiquiri now. As I said, although you don't drink,
You're welcome.
Comes over and they want to indulge in a nice drink, I definitely know how to make one for them now. So I thank you for that.
No, thank you once again for having me, Jace.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to have you. Yeah.
Take care, man. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.